I think it kind of breaks down to my addiction and my habits being behind a 50-50 choice, not by choice. Although addiction is a choice and not a choice. I mean, tell them no. No, thank you. And go about your day because
Welcome to U.S. Homeless Stories.
On Us Homeless Stories, Tucson is not just a desert city. For thousands of people without shelter, the sun itself becomes part of the crisis. In 2024, more than 2,200 people in Pima County were experiencing homelessness, according to local point-in-time counts. In Tucson, summer temperatures often climb above 105 degrees Celsius, turning sidewalks, tents, parking lots, and empty washes into places of non-stop exhaustion. Shade is limited. Water disappears quickly. Sleep becomes difficult. And for many already struggling with addiction, trauma, or mental health issues, the street does not offer recovery, it pulls them deeper into survival. Tucson sells the beauty of the desert. But for people with nowhere to go, that same desert can feel like a trap. This is not just homelessness. This is Tucson under pressure heat, addiction, poverty, and isolation colliding in the open. Stay with this story until the end, because what you are about to see may change how you understand life on the streets in Arizona. If this story hits you, leave a comment, support the video with a like, and subscribe to Us Homeless Stories, so these voices are not lost in the desert silence. One, Tucson in the dark side of a desert city. This is Us Homeless Stories. Beneath everyday life in Tucson, Arizona, a quieter and heavier reality touches thousands of people. According to the 2026 point-in-time count by the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness, 130 individuals were experiencing homelessness across Pima County on a single January night. While this reflects a modest 4% decrease from the previous year, it still reveals deep struggles hidden in plain sight. Hundreds of men, women, and families wake up each morning without a home to return to. They gather their few belongings from river washes, under bridges, in parks, or along city underpasses, then face another long day under the desert sky. What began as temporary setbacks, job loss, rising costs, or sudden life crises has stretched into months or years of uncertainty. The emotional weight is profound. There is the loneliness of having no private space, the exhaustion of protecting limited possessions, and the sorrow of watching loved ones endure the same hardship. Nights bring little true rest, days are filled with vigilance, and the longing for a secure home grows heavier with every sunrise. These real human stories remind us how fragile stability truly is. A lost job, health issue, or financial blow can place anyone in the same uncertain position. As this episode of Us Homeless Stories continues, please stay with these honest stories from Tucson and cities across America. If this opening touches you, please like the video and subscribe to Us Homeless Stories. Two, how the Tucson heat threatens the homeless. The relentless desert heat in Tucson turns ordinary days into a brutal test of endurance for those living without stable shelter. The city faces more than 100 days each year above 100 Fahrenheit, often pushing past 110 Fahrenheit in peak summer, creating conditions where the sun feels unforgiving from morning until night. Hundreds of people in Tucson live through this reality every day. They wake as the heat begins building, then spend long hours searching for shade under bridges, sparse trees, or makeshift coverings. Hydration stations and cooling spots from the city of Tucson and local partners offer important but limited relief, yet many still remain exposed to heat that drains their strength and makes every simple task harder. After hours beneath the desert sun, exhaustion can settle deep into the body. A dry mouth, heavy fatigue, dizziness, headaches, and confusion can make it difficult to rest, eat, move, or care for basic needs. Without a cool place to retreat, survival becomes a daily battle against heat that never fully lets go. For people already facing health problems, the desert climate adds another serious burden. It can turn ordinary survival into a painful uphill struggle, leaving many physically worn down and emotionally isolated. This crisis reminds us how fragile comfort can be, and why real relief, stable housing, and long-term support matter so deeply. As this episode of Us Homeless Stories continues, please stay with these honest stories from Tucson and cities across America. If this touches your heart, please like the video and subscribe to Us Homeless Stories. Three, housing is the root of many unstable lives. At the very heart of Tucson's homelessness challenge lies a heartbreaking shortage of affordable housing that quietly unravels the lives of thousands. According to the 2025 Pima County Housing Needs Assessment, the region is short more than 13,000 affordable rental units for low-income households, a gap that continues to widen as rents climb and new homes remain out of reach for ordinary working people. Hundreds of good, hardworking individuals and families in Tucson wake up each morning knowing their paycheck will never be enough to keep a roof over their heads. They go to work, smile through the day, and return exhausted only to face the fear of another eviction notice, or the impossibility of finding a new place they can actually afford. Veterans who once served their country, seniors who worked their entire lives, and young families trying to build a future all find themselves slowly losing the one thing that gave them security: a home. Without a safe place to return to, life becomes an endless, heavy burden. Imagine carrying everything you own in a backpack or shopping cart, day after day. There is no quiet corner to rest your tired body, no door to close against the world, no kitchen table where you can share a simple meal with loved ones. The loneliness settles in deep the ache of watching your children ask why they can't go home, the quiet shame of not being able to offer them stability, and the heavy sorrow of feeling like your dreams are slipping further away with every night spent under the open desert sky. The constant worry drains the spirit, turning small hopes into distant memories. In our shared humanity, we are called to care, to recognize that stable housing is not just shelter, but the foundation that allows people to heal, to dream again, and to contribute their gifts back to the community they love. As this episode of Us Homeless Stories continues to unfold, I hope you'll stay with these honest stories from Tucson and cities across America. They reveal the real human hearts behind the numbers. If this touches something in you, please consider liking the video and subscribing to Us Homeless Stories, so we can keep sharing these important, heartfelt journeys together. 4. Temporary shelters in the heart of Tucson. In the everyday landscape of Tucson, temporary tent communities emerge as visible markers of adaptation in public spaces like river washes, parks, and underpasses. according to the 2026 point-in-time count by the Tucson-Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness. Approximately 269 individuals were unsheltered across Pima County on a single January night, many clustering in these informal setups for a sense of safety and shared resources. These gatherings form not out of choice but necessity, as people organize tarps and belongings into small makeshift neighborhoods. They look out for one another, sharing what little they have, perhaps a bottle of water or a quiet conversation that eases the weight of isolation. Yet the reality brings constant upheaval. City teams conduct regular cleanups, with reports indicating over 200 such operations monthly in response to sanitation needs and community concerns. Belongings get scattered, hard-won stability disrupted, forcing another move into unfamiliar territory under the relentless desert sun. Hundreds find themselves pushed into these cycles, carrying the quiet ache of having no consistent place to return to after long days of seeking work or basic necessities. The exhaustion of rebuilding shelter daily, protecting personal items from the elements or loss, and maintaining dignity amid visibility weighs heavily. Without a door to close, simple acts like resting or storing essentials become battles against uncertainty and exposure. What thoughts arise when we imagine carrying our most important possessions while wondering where we might lay our head the next night? In these moments, a shared human responsibility gently calls to us not through judgment, but through recognition that supporting stable options benefits the entire community fabric. As you watch this episode of Us Homeless Stories unfold, stay with these stories to grasp the fuller picture of resilience across American cities. It may shift how we all see our neighbors. If the weight of these realities touches you, consider liking the video and subscribing to Us Homeless Stories so we can continue exploring these essential narratives together. 5. The challenges facing Tucson's shelter system. Tucson's shelter network operates under immense pressure, as revealed in the 2026 Housing Inventory Count and Point-in-Time Count released by Tucson-Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness. On the night of January 27, 2026, the community had 881 available shelter beds. Yet 861 were in use, reflecting near total utilization, with almost no room for additional people seeking safety. This comes after a significant loss of nearly 200 beds from the previous year due to funding adjustments and temporary closures for renovations. For hundreds of individuals and families in Tucson, these shelters represent a critical bridge during difficult times, offering a chance to rest, access basic services, and connect with support. Yet, the system's high demand and structured requirements create real barriers. Many shelters follow necessary guidelines for safety and program participation that suit some situations well, but prove challenging for others, managing health needs, family dynamics, or irregular schedules. Outreach workers spend long hours helping people navigate waitlists and openings, only to face the reality that capacity fills quickly, leaving difficult choices between waiting or returning to outdoor arrangements. The human impact runs deep. Imagine the exhaustion of walking through another day in the desert heat, carrying your belongings, and arriving at a shelter only to learn there is no space available that night. The quiet disappointment of another evening without reliable privacy or a secure place to recharge weighs on the spirit. Days blend into one another, marked by the constant search for basic hygiene, a moment of calm, or simply the comfort of knowing where you will be when darkness falls. Without consistent access to these resources, the emotional strain of uncertainty grows heavier, the longing for stability, the frustration of limited options, and the sorrow of watching potential opportunities remain just out of reach. These limitations highlight how quickly life circumstances can test anyone's resilience, reminding us that a single setback in employment, health, or family support could place any of us in a similar position of needing reliable help. This shared reality calls upon our common humanity to strengthen these vital systems, creating more bridges that truly meet people where they are. As this episode of Us Homeless Stories continues to unfold, staying with the full story offers deeper insight into the everyday realities shaping communities across America. If these experiences touch your heart and help you see these challenges more clearly, consider liking the video and subscribing to Us Homeless Stories so we can keep bringing these meaningful narratives to you. Has the support budget reached those most in need? Pima County channels substantial resources into homelessness response each year, combining local budgets, federal grants, and community partnerships to fund shelters, outreach teams, and housing programs. According to recent community reports, the region invests tens of millions of dollars annually through coordinated efforts led by the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness. Yet the 2026 point in time still identified 1,269 unsheltered individuals amid a total of 230 people experiencing homelessness, a figure that underscores persistent gaps in reaching those facing the longest periods of instability. These investments support vital services like navigation assistance, job connections, and health resources that help many move forward when opportunities align. However, administrative complexities, shifting funding streams, and the sheer scale of need mean that resources sometimes fall short of landing consistently with those in the most extended challenges. Individuals often describe the frustration of engaging with short-term aid only to encounter the same housing shortages weeks or months later, creating a cycle that tests patience and hope. Hundreds of people in Tucson carry the heavy emotional weight of this reality each day. Without steady, targeted support, mornings begin with the uncertainty of where basic needs will be met. Afternoons stretch under the desert sun while searching for opportunities, and evenings bring the quiet ache of having no reliable place to return to. The constant navigation of systems, the disappointment when help feels close but not quite sufficient, and the deep longing for continuity wear on the spirit, turning simple daily routines into exhausting battles for stability and dignity. Have you paused to consider how a few unexpected setbacks might leave any of us relying on these same support networks? This situation gently reminds us of our shared responsibility as a community to advocate for approaches that ensure resources truly reach those working hardest to rebuild their lives. As this episode of Us Homeless Stories continues to unfold, staying engaged with the full narrative provides valuable perspective on the human experiences shaping cities across America. If these realities resonate and open your eyes to these challenges, consider liking the video and subscribing to Us Homeless Stories so we can keep sharing these important stories together. 7. Proposed solutions for homelessness. Practical solutions in Tucson Center, access to stable housing, paired with voluntary, prioritized, supportive services tailored to each person's unique situation. The City of Tucson's Housing First initiatives coordinate street outreach, housing navigation, and permanent supportive housing placements. Treating stable housing as the essential foundation rather than a distant reward. Local efforts like Star Village, Tucson's first sanctioned safe sleeping site near Grant Road and North 6th Avenue have already helped 82 people since launching in late 2025. Operating at full capacity with up to 25 residents at a time, the pilot program provides safe outdoor sleeping spaces along with on-site services. enabling some participants to transition successfully into more stable housing options. These approaches also focus on prevention through expanded rental assistance programs and eviction support services that help families and individuals remain in their homes before crises deepen. Pima County continues investing in affordable housing development, with recent approvals adding hundreds of new and preserved units aimed at addressing the broader shortage estimated in the tens of thousands over the coming decade. Nonprofits and city teams work together to integrate job training, health resources, and gradual steps towards self-sufficiency, creating personalized pathways that respect personal dignity and individual pacing. When these models receive consistent support and scaling, they demonstrate measurable success in shortening the time people spend in unstable situations and opening real opportunities for long-term independence. For hundreds still navigating daily uncertainty across Tucson's desert landscape, the current gap between promising programs and widespread availability creates continued hardship. Without enough expanded housing and flexible supports, people face prolonged days searching for basic necessities under intense sunlight, evenings without a secure or private place to rest. And the persistent emotional weight of potential that feels perpetually just beyond reach. The exhaustion of repeatedly rebuilding small routines after each disruption. The deep longing for a reliable foundation from which to plan ahead, and the quiet sorrow of watching incremental progress stall due to limited resources, paint a profoundly human picture of what delayed solutions mean in real life. These realities serve as a gentle reminder that life circumstances can shift unexpectedly for any of us, perhaps through job changes, health challenges, or other unforeseen aphids placing even stable lives in need of compassionate community support. This shared responsibility invites us to value and champion solutions that strengthen the entire community fabric by recognizing the potential and dignity in every person. Stories continues to unfold. Staying with the complete narrative offers deeper insight into both the challenge and the hopeful pathways emerging in cities across America. If these stories of resilience and practical possibilities resonate with you and touch your heart, consider liking the video to show your support and subscribing to Us Homeless Stories so we can keep exploring these important human journeys together. Eight, conclusion, Tucson's path forward. Reflecting on Tucson's journey reveals a desert community holding both striking natural beauty and profound human challenges. The 2026 point-in-time count conducted by the Tucson Pima Collaboration to End Homelessness noted a modest 4% overall decrease to 2 130 people experiencing homelessness across Pima County. This slight progress signals that coordinated efforts in housing expansion. Resource refinement and compassionate outreach are beginning to create meaningful momentum, even as the need for more stable solutions remains pressing. The stories emerging from Tucson's streets and support networks illustrate lives marked by quiet determination and deep resilience. Many carry the heavy emotional weight of searching for stability, day after day the exhaustion of navigating uncertainty. Under the intense desert sun, the quiet ache of disrupted routines without a consistent place to return to, and the profound longing for a secure foundation where they could simply rest, plan, and rebuild. These realities touch the heart by showing how circumstances can test anyone's footing, reminding us that stability often rests on fragile ground, and that empathy rooted in our shared vulnerability can make all the difference. Tucson's path forward lies in weaving practical supports with strong community spirit. By continuing to expand housing-first models, strengthen prevention services, and develop inclusive options that honor personal dignity, the city can move toward a future where fewer people face these daily hardships. The potential for brighter outcomes grows through sustained focus on what truly helps individuals regain independence and contribute their unique strengths back to the community. What ideas or perspectives from your own experiences might contribute to building even stronger support networks in places facing similar realities? This shared responsibility gently calls upon our common humanity to foster understanding and action that lifts entire communities. In this moment, let us hold a quiet prayer for every person in Tucson and across the country experiencing homelessness. May they find comfort, safety, and steady paths towards stability. May compassion and practical help surround them, and may hope light their way through each challenging day. Thank you sincerely for staying with this full episode of Us Homeless Stories. Your time and attention in witnessing these real stories from Tucson mean a great deal and help shine a light on important truths about life, American cities. If these narratives have touched your heart, moved you, or opened new understanding, please consider liking the video to show your support. Subscribing to Us Homeless Stories allows us to continue bringing more of these meaningful, in-depth explorations to you. Together, through awareness and compassion, we contribute to a more connected and hopeful future.